Why did it take so long to open up combat roles in the U.S. military to women? And why did you not inform President Obama until a couple of hours before making the announcement?
Okay, well, the first thing is that um, I think there was some concern at the time that this is now visiting it in the past, and I visited it as Deputy Secretary of Defense. Leon Panetta was Secretary of Defense, and we didn't make the decision. We opened up some, but not all. And Leon can explain that principally, but I remember the reasoning. It wasn't that we weren't quite ready to do that. I think Leon was predisposed to do it. I felt that if we were going to do this, and the reason to do it, by the way, is that they're half the population. We have an all-volunteer army, all-volunteer military, rather, and the way we get excellent people is to compete and offer military positions to the most qualified people. And if they happen to be female, that's okay with me. I need the most qualified person. So that's the rationale. It's basically a military talent rationale for doing it. Now, at the same time, there are a lot of people who don't understand that, and they worry, and I say, look, it would be, for us not to do that would be social policy. It's not social policy to do it, it's military policy. But you gotta make sure that when you do things like this, they're accepted at some level. And otherwise it blows up in your face and it takes a generation to pick it up again. And you've left all these women who have been hoping for it and are already serving in the ranks, you left them marooned for a generation, so you can't screw it up. And so I wanted to make sure we had our ducks in a row and that we had done all the analysis. So when I went out and announced that, man, it was bulletproof. And I was sure, and in fact, there were no bullets. I didn't even get one letter from Congress after that. Because I said, I talked for 20 minutes or so, and I said, my attitude was, find out anything wrong with this. We've thought it through, here's the rationale. You tell me what's wrong with this. Bet you can't. And they couldn't. Now, the reason I didn't call President Obama wasn't that I didn't trust him, that I didn't think he'd agree with it or anything like that. The reason I didn't call him in advance was that I didn't want the decision that I was made. I thought he'd like it. I knew he'd like it. But I didn't want to discuss it with him beforehand because I didn't want anybody to think it was a political decision. I thought it was best done without that. And so an hour before, I called up his chief of staff, Dennis McDonough, and I said, I'm about to walk out to the microphone. So there are only 5 people in this whole place who know what I'm about to do. The press has no idea. And I said, and Dennis, sorry, and you can put me through to the president if you need to, but I don't need any. And Dennis wouldn't do this, and President Obama wouldn't do this, but you never know. Some, and Michael Ortiz wouldn't do it. But some staffer there who gets excited and wants to make political hay. That's all you need. Then I won't get 0 letters from Capitol Hill. I'll get a whole bunch of letters from Capitol Hill, and the whole thing will turn into a mess. And that's not. That's not what you need. And I said to Dennis, I don't want your help. The best thing you guys can do is just shut up about this and let me handle it. And there was a little pause on the other end of the line, and I said, Dennis, I just want to do this very soberly, very professionally. And he finally said, we've come to expect that. But at any rate, and they didn't, and that was all for the good. So that's why I didn't need his help.